concur with the conclusion that Mr. Putin has not been fully informed by his Ministry of Defense at every turn over the last month. Now, I want to caveat that. We don't have access to every bit of information that he's been given or every conversation that he's had. And I'm going to be very careful here not getting into too much more detail on this. But I've seen these press reports attributed to a U.S. official, and we would concur with the basic finding.
Joining me now to discuss these comments further is Jennifer Murtazashvili, and she's the director of the Center for Governance and Markets at the University of Pittsburgh. Welcome to the programme. What do you make of these reports and these comments we just heard there from John Kirby, that President Putin has been misled by his defence advisors and that they are not telling him the truth about what's happening in Ukraine?
Well, this is totally expected. And this is what we anticipate to see in these kinds of regimes where the president surrounds himself with people who tell him what he wants to hear, devise plans for what he wants to do. So this is so typical of authoritarian regimes where people are cut off from information, there's no access to information. And as a result, you find the president in a bubble and you find the leaders around him in a bubble. So it's no surprise that when Russian troops went into Ukraine, you know, we remember these initial reports where President Putin said the troops would be welcomed by Ukrainians throwing flowers at the tanks, going to rescue the ethnic Russian population. Well, it shows that these authoritarian leaders have a fundamental misunderstanding of politics in so many contexts, and they fundamentally misunderstood what was going on in Ukraine. They couldn't understand what was happening because they themselves will not open themselves up to any alternative views.
And just to play devil's advocate here, does Putin really not know what's going on? And are we really to believe this US intelligence?
Well, I think it's clear that he knows what's going on right now. I think the question is, what was going on before, right? What was driving this conflict? What would be the success of this intervention? And I think he does understand that he is not winning. And I think he understands the incredible losses that his troops are facing right now. And that's why we have seen, the defense minister and so many, he's been in hiding for days. So many top security officials have been sacked. So it's no surprise. They understand that they are not winning. I think the question is what Putin expected and why. And I think that's really the question that's at hand here.
And so if President Putin knows he's not winning and we're hearing this US intelligence, could he lash out? What could his next move be, maybe to save face? Just how damaging could this be?
It could be very damaging. And I think this is the real concern that so many of us have, is what does someone who has his back against the wall do? And so what we're beginning to see, though, and I want to be very cautious in how I say this, is a kind of cascade. We're beginning to see cracks appear. Today, for example, Ramzan Kadyrov, one of Putin's strongest allies, the leader of Chechnya, he came out and criticized the negotiations that Russia was leading in Ukraine, saying this is soft. And how dare the Russian government do this? Because his guys, his troops, the Chechens who have been sent to fight in Ukraine on behalf of Moscow, are putting up a very tough fight. And he says, if you let us do the job, we'll do the job. Why are you letting the soft side of your government negotiate with the Ukrainians? We could also see a dynamic where President Putin commits to some kind of negotiated settlement, but actually doesn't commit to that. And I actually have some concern about that right now, because we saw in these negotiations over the past several days that Russia had promised to scale back some of its attacks, but the Ukrainians are reporting there's no evidence that this is happening. So I think there's an enormous cause for concern because the government of Russia has no credibility right now.
Jennifer, thank you very much indeed. Thank you for your time and your analysis. Jennifer Murtazashvili, thank you.